Hello everyone, in this video I'm going to review Module 10, Week 10, what to expect and some of your responsibilities. To do that, I'm going to look at our course calendar and I'm also going to look at some of the tabs on our course shell specifically for Week 10. In Week 10, I'm going to release your next essay assignment, and that is the Room for Debate essay assignment. This you wouldn't have to turn in a draft until the following week, which is week 11, and in week 11 you have a final project coming up, so you cannot slack off. If you've been slacking off in this class, this is the time to get really serious. Those of you who have been relying on my kindness to you, especially when you didn't turn in work and I give you a second chance to turn in the work, those days are gone, because I'm going to be busy with grading, and you are not going to trust me. I'm aware of a lot of excuses the student give, and I'm not going to mention them because I don't want to give you a reason why you should make up excuses. But I kind of know that this is the time when students are worried about their grades and worried about the finals. So the only thing you need to be worried about is that you're completing the work, and you let me worry about your grade. That said, we are going to be looking at rhetorical analysis. That's a topic we'll be covering in week 10, and we are also going to be looking at argumentative essays and writing. Now, we have a course textbook, and I assume that if you're diligent students, you're reading the course textbook and the specific readings assigned, so nothing should catch you by surprise. Of course, I have supplementary readings, which I assume you're also reading. And I have some materials which, in my face-to-face class, these are usually activities in class, and I don't grade them. And I've chosen, although in one of my online classes previous semester, I would give student activities and I'll grade them, but I've chosen not to do the same this semester. So in week 10, you don't have anything to turn in. So does that mean you should sit back, relax, and do nothing? Not exactly. It means that I want you to be fully focused on your Room for Debate essay. You should be working on drafting it. You should try your best to understand the materials, the topics, and everything else we're doing for the week. Because when you turn in your draft, I'm going to be looking for evidence that you have an idea of what I'm expecting from you for this essay. So if you look at the course calendar, or if you look and you don't see any discussion board posts due, doesn't mean that you should just sit back, like I said, relax and do nothing. But you should be working on your Room for Debate essay. And when week 11 comes and you turn in your first draft, I am not going to take excuses as to why you couldn't turn it in, because you had a whole week in which you pretty much didn't have anything else to do but just to study the materials. So no excuses, no excuses. Okay. Let's go into our course shell and let's look into module 10. I'm going to access our course shell not from the Learning Modules tab, but from the Course Materials tab. That's another way you can get around it, but I choose to do this because I want to show you guys something. Sometimes students go into the Learning Modules tab, and maybe because I didn't release a module, you may not be able to open it, but another way you can get in is to go into the course materials. So we're going to go into week 10, and you will see that I have reviewed the assignment, which is your Room for Debate essay assignment. So there's a video in which I went over the instructions. You should watch it. It should be clear what I'm expecting from you. And if the video is too short, I don't think it is, but if you find it too short or not so comprehensive, then the assignment instructions should be comprehensive enough. Here are some activities from my previous classes, and it should give you an idea of what is done in a rhetorical analysis. Remember, you have assigned readings on rhetorical analysis, and you should be doing those readings. But these are supplementary activities which I've chosen not to grade. Like I said, in my face-to-face classes, I would grade students for it, and students have discussions about it. So since this class is made online, I expect that you go through these materials and have some understanding of what I have done in the past with students, and to give you an understanding of what I would expect when you are walking in your Room for Debates. You can get some ideas from these activities. You can incorporate them when you're working on room for debate essays. And here we come to argumentative essays and writing. There's supplementary items in here. You can just take a look at these materials, skim over them, have some understanding how questions are answered, how arguments or essays are analyzed, and that should help you understand what I want you to do in the assignment. Of course, the other materials on Room for Debate, Youth / Juvenile Violence and Crimes. Take a look at this. Covers. We're talking about the topic of youth violence. Chicago is a big city, of course, so there is definitely youth violence in Chicago, in New York, Los Angeles. Many other big cities experience this phenomenon, so it's nothing new. Do not look at Chicago and say, oh, because it's Chicago. Yeah, every major city, big cities, have this issue with violence, especially youth violence. Now, these are all supplementary items. You could take a look at this if you're curious about the topic. And let's go into the course calendar one more time. So all the topics that we outlined here, it's expected that you will review the readings and materials. Now, what about logical fallacies? Well, I'm going to review the answer key for this in a separate recording. So in week 9, you completed the exercises. You also completed the logical fallacies and arguments quiz, which if you took your time to review the materials, you should understand and know what I'm expecting from you. I'm going to review it later in the week, so watch out for a separate announcement in which I go over the answers. If you think something threw you off, if you think something was confusing, no, it was an open book quiz. You needed to pay more attention to detail. If you probably didn't do too well, I would say don't worry about it too much. The extra credits opportunities, I think, can help you supplement that part of your grade. It's not a lot, it's just 20 points. Hopefully you didn't get a 0, but I think you all will be fine, whether you did well or you did not do well on that quiz on logical fallacies and arguments. That said, I want to mention that you should make sure you're looking into the tabs. If you go into the assignments and projects tab, that is where you'll find the Room for Debate essay assignments. So once again, the information is here. I've got a sample Room for Debate student essay. You are going to, well, in the reading I went over the instructions, but specifically this particular reading on juvenile youth violence, that's what you're going to be responding to. Your Room for Debate essay is going to be about these 2 argumentative essays, and you will get the idea of what I want you to do when you read the instructions and you watch the overview. Of course, first draft, as I've said in my previous announcements and also on the assignment handouts, you need to submit this with an outline. I don't need that for your final draft. So that concludes my review of Module 10, Week 10.